No, I'm very careful.
Just add to your HR file.
If you get my like videos together, I'm a pretty good guy.
Nice.
I don't even know what to talk about today, guys.
You want me to?
I'm a little tired
You want me
today.
to do my thing?
Yeah.
Pickleball.
Oh, that is big for you right now.
It's so big for me. I love it.
Yeah.
Pickleball is super underrated. It is the most amount
Can
of
you
fun.
give a shout out to Bread and Butter Pickleball on here?
Would
Bread and Butter.
yeah.
Yeah. Link them and see what they think.
Oh, okay.
I bought all of their paddles. They're a smaller company, maybe. I don't know. I just don't hear a lot about them, but their paddles are amazing. And every time I pull out one of their paddles, everyone's like, what is that? Because they've got all these awesome designs. So I'm really happy about that.
Nice.
I don't know if I would say it's underrated because I think it is like the fastest growing sport out there right now.
Yeah, I just think
So-
like it's going to make some people mad, but it's way better than tennis.
Oh, 100%.
It's so much
Completely
better.
My
agree.
favorite thing is going to like a pickleball video, and there's like 18,000 comments. Half of them are tennis players being like, you only serve at 60 miles an hour. I serve at 120. And it's like, okay. You know, the court's a third the size.
Yeah.
So
Well, the
let's
rules
do
are
the math.
insane too.
That's
like the kitchen.
33%
Yeah, the
faster.
kitchen, right?
The kitchen is crazy.
Yeah.
Like the strategy involved in like
Yeah.
being very strategic of where you place the ball
Yeah.
is insane.
I think just the biggest difference, I don't disrespect tennis, but like in pickleball, you have to have touch.
Yeah,
And,
without a doubt.
You know what I mean? In tennis, you can just reef on that thing, man. But pickleball, you have to, kind of have that finesse.
No, that's for sure.
finesse
Tennis
sport.
players have zero finesse.
Yeah, it's like the football of paddle sports. You know? I don't know. You know what I mean? The most aggressive of the paddle sports.
I am, yeah. I'm just blown away by this right now. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Cole, what do you think about pickleball?
I have no opinion on pickleball.
Yeah.
I've
Cole
never
heard
played it.
kitchen and he's like, where?
Yeah. If
What's in the kitchen?
You
heard
know
bread
I
and
don't
butter?
play sports.
Bread and butter
He
and
was like,
kitchen.
I'm all in.
if you reference like hashtag pickleball versus tennis or something, we probably won't get a lot of like comments about security, but it'll be our most commented post for sure.
Yeah, just
These
do like
guys
a-
think they know what pickleball is.
Yeah,
These
yeah,
guys, tennis is way better.
Yeah.
Yeah, just do a real clickbaity title like tennis sucks, pickleball's where it's at.
But listen, we want to keep both pickleball players and tennis players safe.
That's
Yeah.
true.
And
Which we can do.
because they're both great people.
We get a lot of requests for securing pickleball courts actually.
Yeah.
Seriously, that's been huge right now.
Yeah, we have an integration with somebody that does that, right?
Play by point.
yes,
Play by point.
Yep.
Play by
Yeah,
point.
we
Yeah,
just
it's
got a
awesome.
new
The
integration
pickler.
there.
The
Oh yeah, the
The
pickler.
Pickler's using PDK.
Is that the?
How you doing back there?
Speaking of the pickler, somebody put that stupid chicken thing or whatever in my office.
Oh, the screaming goat?
The screaming goat.
Dude,
I was like, what are you talking
did that
about?
make it all the way to you now?
It made it to me, and I had no idea where it was at, and it was so annoying to Eddie that he came in and found it for me. 'Cause I have an unbelievable ability to just ignore it.
Yeah.
And he was like, "You haven't found this thing yet?" I was like, "I looked, didn't see it."
So we got to give the listeners some context here. So Dallan decided one day to buy this USB powered speaker that has a switch that you can go ahead and determine how frequent it emits its sound.
The screaming goat
And its sound just so happens to be a screaming goat. And so it has been making its way around the entire office in just randomly being put in people's offices. Dallan, you and freaking Cole teamed up the other day and
Whoa.
put it in my ceiling.
Yeah, we got it in the
Whoa,
ceiling.
whoa. Let's
denied it
let's
for a
clear
long
the board
time.
here. All right, I was framed.
You were not framed.
I
It
was
was your
framed.
power bank that
It was my
included it.
power bank.
Listen, I just
Somebody
wanna
came into
confirm.
my office and stole my
Cole
power
was
bank.
part of it, but we'll go past that. Cole was part of it
no,
for sure.
Nope.
The first time I did it to Evan Tree. And I looked on his calendar and I didn't see anything. So I thought today would be a good day. Turns out he had an interview with a high-level marketing, potential marketing team member.
Not marketing, product.
And Brad Baldwin, our VP of product. And that thing was going off every 4 to 6 minutes during the interview. And Evan Tree could not let it go. So like it went off twice. Finally, he gets up mid-interview and searches for it. Reports are anywhere from 1 to 5 minutes. But then he found it. Because I went in the morning and I go, hey, do you have one of those like weird weird HDMI cable plugins that have like the flat side. We were looking back there. He walked around and I plugged it right in. And I'm like, oh well, and walked away. Plugged it into the back of his monitor.
Nice.
But he is sharp, so he found it pretty quick.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's made its way around our whole office. A lot of fun. We like to have a lot of fun.
We do. There was I came in after Christmas break and Dallan put a Christmas card on my desk.
It me?
Yeah, it was
Or
definitely
was it
you.
some security magazine wanting to honor you?
Oh, it was definitely not them. I don't spend enough money with them.
Yeah.
They would not have done it.
I did my best.
But you open it up and it sings a song. It's
Astley.
Rick Astley. Yep.
Never gonna give
I
you
got
up.
Rick rolled the whole time, and it's one of those ones that you open up and it won't ever stop until the battery dies. But I knew exactly once I opened it up, I'm like, crap, this is one of those ones that don't die. And if I open this up and try to tear it apart to pull out the soundboard, it's got glitter in it.
I should not have done it to Brach. I should have known.
The problem was I had seen that and I wanted to buy it myself.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so I took it and I went and hid it in Dallan's office and I actually taped it underneath his
Phenomenal.
cabinet.
It was really
his cabinet.
phenomenal.
So he's opening up his drawers trying to find it. He comes into my office and he's like, where is it? I can't have that in my office.
Yeah,
He's
you did a great job.
And so I had to go and pull it out.
He
but-
taped it up. So you open the drawer, and it was taped to the top of my drawers.
Oh my gosh.
Basically-
I
the roof of your
honestly,
drawers, yeah.
I would have never found it. I don't think, because it's like the sound sounds like it's coming from everywhere.
Yeah.
So it's like really hard to pinpoint. That was really good. Those were expensive, so I'm really sad that you didn't tear it open and get the glitter all over.
The funny thing is so after I got it back, I put it in your fridge, and you found it later when you went to go get a drink.
That was a go-to for jokes for a while.
But then I went out and I took it to Eddie's car and I put it on his Xterra
Yes.
up in his roof rack area and shoved it there. Guys, it's still there.
It's not anymore.
Oh,
Because him and I went to lunch the other day and he just found it.
No way.
This is like end of last week. And he was like, I don't know what this card is. And then he like, oh, but it's all like warped from the weather. And he's like, oh, this is from Brach. And then we were about to leave for lunch and he just like sets it on maybe Cole's car. I don't know. He just sets it on like the window and I was like, bro, you're not gonna like. He's like, oh, I'll grab it when we come back. He's like, all right. So I don't know actually what ended up happening, if you put it like
That's
on
amazing.
someone else's or what.
so I put that on his car on January 2nd.
For some reason, I see him driving and hearing it and just punching a hole through the top and just pulling it down and being like, oh.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, that's so funny.
Anyway, so we like to have a lot of fun here at the
Yeah,
BK
it's a good
office.
time.
Yeah, we're a family here for real.
Yeah.
It's not one of those companies where we actually just say, yeah, we're like family here.
And then we all fight after we leave here. I guess that would be a family, but
I would be a family.
Yeah.
Yeah.
no, it's
So
fair.
that's awesome. Well, welcome on into the Big Access Podcast. Today we are going to be talking about scalability and ultimately why scalability is good and ultimately how scalability simplifies access control installations. So today we've got Dallan Labrum, our EVP of Sales. We've got Sean Blaisdell, the Inside General Sales Manager. And we've got Cole Nebeker, who is our Training and our Events Manager, joining us. So welcome to the show, guys.
Thank you.
These guys are all veterans. You guys know them. You've probably interacted with them many, many times. But I want to talk about scalability and what scalability even is. So, Dallan, can you tell our listeners what scalability is as far as access control goes?
Yes. So, for scalability from a dealer standpoint, from a partner standpoint, is the ability to go from one door to as many doors as you need, to go from one site to as many sites as you need, without having to have multiple instances of the system running, to make it as easy as possible for their end user customer. One of the things that we hear about all the time, especially on legacy systems, is they can only do 32 doors, and then you have to have a whole other instance of it going. And so there's people that are managing, an office building is managing 5 or 6 instances of an old software, and then they go in and put PDK, and it only takes one person to manage all of these different locations or all of these different businesses within the building. And I love hearing the feedback from our partners and end users on how much easier we make their life, how much easier we make it for them to protect life and property.
Yeah, that's really cool. We did a case study not too long ago at the National Corvette Museum that was all about scalability. When I think about that, they first started off with just a couple of doors, couple of perimeter access doors, and then they expanded up to 40 doors. And then they needed to do phase 2, which was an additional 40 doors. And then phase 3, which was an additional 40 doors, because they have multiple different areas. They have like an archives area. They have an auto body shop.
Yeah.
They have a records area and exhibit area, and then they have a racetrack as well. And so they're working on phase 4 right now, where they're doing additional stuff. And if you look at it, there's a variety of hardware across the property, because it allows for that growth. Ultimately, we talk about how we like to make our hardware backwards and forwards compatible so that it can scale, and so that way you don't have to go and remove old hardware and replace it with new hardware as an installation goes. So
I just thought of one more thing.
Okay, bring it on.
Mobile credentials.
Ooh.
Mobile credentials. I think a lot of competitors are starting to figure it out, but there's still a lot out there that when you run out of credentials with them, you hit a wall. So if an end user runs out of credentials at 8 o'clock at night on one of their multi-tenant residential or commercial locations, they have to wait until they can get a hold of the dealer, buy a new batch, whatever. But with PDK, that's not the case. We have scalability in our mobile and Bluetooth credentials. You can actually issue an unlimited amount of credentials without any holdback, which allows indefinite scalability. Mm-hmm. Let's say you have an acquisition and you need to put 500 new employees on Bluetooth credentials. You can do that without having to reach out to the dealer, or without having a holdback in the system.
Yeah. Sean, can you elaborate a little bit more on our mobile credentials? What type of mobile credentials do we have? How do we issue them? Things like that.
Yeah, that's a great point. So we have 2 different types of mobile credentials. We have the mobile app credentials, which you can unlock any door remotely from your phone just by simply pressing and holding whatever the door is. And it's treated the same exact way as a physical credential, right, as far as issuing those permissions. So just because you have access to this particular door remotely doesn't mean you're going to have access to every door all the time. It just depends on what the rules are within PDK.io. And the second is Bluetooth, which is really straightforward. You present your phone to the reader. If you are given access because you have rules for it, it'll unlock the door, and you go right on in. So one other thing I wanted to add to the scalability, Dallan brought up a good point, but I've ran into dealers that have talked about some of our competitors that have limits even on users, right? So even having a scalability to be able to add as many people as you need to in the system is also super important. So the flexibility of PDK overall, we're scalable in literally every sense of the word.
Mm-hmm. No, 100%. Cole, what does it look like if I were to go and need to scale a system from a 1 door to an enterprise system? What does that process look like for an installer who's out there?
Well, it's pretty straightforward. You just stop in at your preferred distributor and you pick up, let's say, a 4-door controller, an R4, and you plug it in, and you hit auto discovery, and everything's programmed within a matter of 10 minutes. It's really very straightforward, just dependent on you getting some additional equipment and getting it all installed.
Yeah. Oftentimes you might run into situations where people are learning more about the modularity of PDK, and that allows them to scale for different doors that maybe they couldn't have had access control on in the past. Talk to me a little bit about the modularity of each one of our red boards.
Yeah, so the red boards, it was, I think it was a really good design, and of course it was a very good design. We have an awesome engineering team, but they're all designed to have the same mounting sizes so that they can be expanded in, say, a Red Max or an Altronics Trove. You can pick up these expansion boards, which allow you to just mix and match whichever boards you need in order to expand the system to whatever size you need. On top of that, you have the communication modules. So you've got the Ethernet, which is the default, and then you've got the wireless and PoE as well. So it's really designed to be very diverse and very malleable to whatever your system needs. Especially maybe if you have a door that is way too far away to run Ethernet to, you can simply tie in a wireless module.
That's awesome. And ultimately, the way that we designed our hardware too is in a way that helps you to scale in the future.
Yeah.
Right? You're able to build for the future. Sean, talk to us a little bit about the types of controllers that we have and how that allows us to help scale.
Yeah, so we range anywhere from a single door in an enclosure all the way up to 24 doors utilizing the Red Max, which is insane because some of our competitors, I've talked to dealers where they're like, we're limited to 2-door controllers. That's all we can do, right? So if they're on a larger system, they're adding in all kinds of hardware. Or the reverse could be true, where it's a larger controller and they only need 1 door. So the fact that we have 1, 2, 4, 8, and then all the way up to 24 doors using our Red Max allows for a lot of flexibility in system design as well. So if you've got a door where it makes more sense to just put a controller above it in the drop tile, you could do that. Or if you want everything to be centralized and just have a really large enclosure like a Red Max, it's really completely up to the installer. Whatever's going to be the most beneficial to them, they get that flexibility to say, okay, I'm not limited to only purchasing this type of controller. I can purchase a few R1s that are going to be right at the door, all while having an R8 that's going to handle more of a central location. So tons of flexibility and scalability when it comes to our hardware for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. And ultimately, too, it allows for pre-planning, too. I mean, ultimately, Dallan, how many sites get installed that ultimately come... The dealer gets called back to bring on additional doors?
Yeah. I mean, that was one of my biggest problems when I first came to PDK, is that we were trying to find a software marker for success, and our systems were expanding.
They were.
Like every month we have hundreds of systems that are added to. Sometimes even thousands of systems that are added to. And so when you look at the device count, it's extremely popular. Budgets change. When a business is looking at their security needs, a lot of times they think they understand what they need, so they allocate a certain amount of money. And this is why education and sales is so important. Selling something is helping them understand what they really truly need. A lot of times when you do a good job of that, the budget miraculously expands. I've seen it 1,000 times, but many times we have dealers who are like, hey, I'm not doing a new system right now, but I'm putting 30 new doors on this existing system because that business is succeeding, which we love to hear. They're doing better, they're growing, they're expanding, they took over more footprint. And in a multi-tenant commercial building like this one, it's very popular for sometimes a tenant moves out. We occupied a small portion of the bottom of this building. Now we occupy the entire top and we're looking for more. Successful businesses are always looking to expand, and so making that easy for them is crucial.
Ultimately, the way that we've designed PDK is that we've designed PDK to expand as your business grows.
Yep.
So that's really important.
Yep.
One thing that I've heard a lot of dealers, what they'll do is if they run into a situation where maybe the budget does get cut a little bit, is they will still make sure to install bigger controllers. So installing like a Red Max or a Red 8 in certain areas where they know that, hey, we might need some future wiring out there.
Yeah.
And so because they have those additional ports out there and ready, then all they need to do is go out there and install the hardware, and oftentimes they'll even run wire there if they know, because that's a little bit cheaper side of things. They can still get that in the budget, so then they can pre-plan for the future.
Yep. I love it when I hear dealers doing that. I would say most of our top performing dealers are doing things like that, where they're thinking ahead. Maybe they wanted 10 doors of access, but they didn't quite understand. Access control is probably the biggest investment in security. That you're going to make. So, when they kind of figure out all of the things that go into a door of access and how much it costs, sometimes people are a little bit surprised, and it goes from 10 to 5 doors instead. And then they put 10 doors of controllers in there and just do the 5 doors. When they come back, they're able to pleasantly surprise the end user with an opportunity that's a lot less expensive than they anticipated. So I love that. That's genius. Also, as far as expandability goes, one thing that they do that allows people to have a level of security but maybe not a full door of access is utilizing our A8 for door position sensors. Understanding if a door's open or closed, if it's been pushed open, that's crucial to security. So, and that's oftentimes a lot less expensive than putting in a full door of access.
Yeah, that's exactly where I wanted to go next, where sometimes scalability doesn't mean full access control at every door, but it could just mean monitoring. I mean, ultimately that A8 really helps to be able to bring in a lot of additional features. Cole, what kind of features are available in the software just by adding in something as simple as a DPS and tying that into an A8 port?
You have a lot of capabilities. In fact, we just filmed a Tip Tuesday about this yesterday, about the value of a DPS. It's just such a cheap component, and it's so easy to install. I think everyone should be doing it. But importantly, I'll give an example of what I've seen back when I was in sales. We had a school that, of course, could not afford full-blown access control on every single classroom door. And so they installed several A8s and installed a DPS on each classroom door. So in the case of a lockdown, they could quickly reference and trigger an alarm if any of the classroom doors were still propped open. And that's one of the benefits of the A8. You tie in a DPS, you immediately have access to the full suite of PDK software, but also the ability to see if a door is propped open and trigger notifications off that.
One more comment on that, and I'm going to make a bold statement here, but if your customer requests access control and you don't install a DPS, you did not deliver access control. You delivered a really cool electronic locking system that has some frills to it.
Yep.
A little expensive component unlocks almost 40% of the functionality of PDKO. It allows you to know if a door is forced, propped, so many things. If you don't know the state of the door, is it security? And I don't think it is. So, if you're hearing this and you don't do that, number one is there's no downside to this, right? I mean, even if you charge $50 extra per door, that, what is it, $5, maybe $10 for a really nice DPS, takes you about 10 minutes to install, maybe if you're new, and then all of a sudden you have all this additional functionality. And I tell dealers, the more value that you're adding to them, the higher chance they are going to be your customer 5 years from now. Mm-hmm. And that's what I want our dealers focusing on, is not just getting that deal done right now, but keeping them your customer for forever, for 5-10 years. That's what builds the legacy. That's what builds the value in your company. And that is something we're very passionate about. We love hearing when our dealers go in and they get huge multipliers on their access control recurring revenue. But if you're losing customers as fast as you're installing them, your company's not growing.
Yep, spot on. And ultimately, like what this whole episode's been about, is PDK is here to help you guys grow and help your customers grow as well. Ultimately, we want to be there to help provide access control on every single opening, or monitoring on every opening as your customer grows. We're here to be successful all together, so let's work together to really make it happen. So if you have any questions about scalability or how to add on to systems, reach out to these sales guys. They want to make sure that they are there to help you and make sure that you are getting everything you need. But guys, that's all the time that we've got for today's episode of the Big Access Podcast. Thanks a ton.
Can I do a quick plug?
Okay.
ProdataKey.com/contact. You can get a hold of any salesperson at PDK, all of our rep firms, everybody. If you have a question, please go to ProdataKey.com/contact. Our marketing team has done a killer job with our website, making it easy to contact us to help you scale your business.
There you go. Nice plug.
Thank you.
All right. If you haven't already done so, be sure to subscribe to this podcast, give it a 5-star rating, and let us know in the comments if you're looking to learn anything in particular, and we'll add that to an upcoming episode. But thank you guys a ton for tuning in. We will see you next time.